Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Good, good. I've already got the game grades in, so it's off to a good start. Of course, with an Oilers win 3-2 in overtime against the Toronto Maple Leafs, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
A strange game, I will say.
Yes.
Strange game, which the Oilers, I thought, were the second best team on the ice, as is
Mostly, yeah.
often been the case against the Leafs, except for the first four games. The game since
Mm-hmm.
then, the Leafs have outplayed the Oilers. But there was a few notable exceptions to that rule that the Leafs outplayed the Oilers this game, and we'll get to those. This is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. And because the Oilers win, we get two good things each. Bruce, why don't you fire it up? What's your first good thing?
Okay, well, I'm going to go with the same one good thing that I came up with on Saturday night. Just reading off the same script here, Mike Smith. I feel like I'm becoming the guy's biggest cheerleader. But he's putting together a heck of a season back there between the pipes, and I would make the argument right now that he is the sole reason that Edmonton came out of Toronto with three standings points.
Oh yeah,
You
oh
put it,
yeah.
you put a sort of an average net minding in those two games, and Oilers get beat twice. I think, don't you?
I do, Bruce. Tonight he was so good. I got the Grant Fuhr feeling. You know what the Grant Fuhr feeling is?
They're never going to score again.
That's right. I don't get that very often with Edmonton
Okay,
Oilers goalies. But I
no
had
kidding.
that, and I was waiting for Jack Michaels because the last time Smith was really dialed in, Jack Michaels kind of said, the Oilers announcer early in the third period, like he said, he would say Smith's looking sharp, and I don't think he's going to get beat again. And it was kind of a gutsy thing for him to
Mhm.
say the game, and Smith didn't get beat. And that thought popped into my head early in the third period, like he's just so sharp, and he's not going to get beat again.
What was the final count on scoring chances?
10-7, 10 grade A chances
It's
for
ten,
the
eh?
Leafs. And the Leafs had more of the five alarm variety though, Bruce.
I'll say.
And I'll let you get to the two that or a couple of them if you want, but
Mhm.
the Mikheyev stop in the second period.
The 2-0, basically, was the 2-0. Yeah, the second period, the Oilers had three chances to one, and the Toronto chance was probably more likely to get a goal than the three Oilers chances combined.
Correct.
And somehow he kept that one out. And that was a number of one of a number of monster saves that he got a piece of. The shots that just I got a piece of on their way by, or saving the very best for last. Absolutely stoning uh, Auston Matthews in the first, what was it, 7 seconds of overtime. It was a brief but exciting overtime where the Oilers got burned right off the face-off. Both McDavid and Draisaitl got trapped on a Marner Matthews 2-on-1, and of course Marner made the feed. Matthews made the shot, and if they'd have scored then, I would have been one sour puss doing this broadcast. I can tell you.
Bruce,
But
trapped,
Smith came
trapped,
up.
trapped is a very charitable way of framing what happened to Draisaitl and McDavid on that play. They were both out to lunch. Like what they
They
were.
went forward, and Marner made a great sort of quick move the other way, and they couldn't
Yeah,
overtake him. I
yeah,
mean, some credit where due. It was a great change of pace by Marner. But I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about the big
yeah.
boys a little bit later on. The big boy I'm going to focus on here is Smith making that play, making that save, and he was basically the third assist on the goal because Draisaitl recovered the rebound, fed it up to McDavid. He fed Nurse, and Nurse scored. And all four Oilers on the ice, including the goalie, touched the puck on that sequence. But
Oh
that was
boy.
that was a ginormous save, but one of many, many. There were some very good stops off of John Tavares, and John Tavares is a monster. Man, it's hard to get the puck off of that guy. You can tell he played lacrosse, and it seems like he controls the puck with a lacrosse stick when he's in heavy traffic. Somehow he manages to hang on to it and come out firing pills at the net. And uh, Smith just held his ground, and I thought he had a tremendous game. What grade did you give him? Out
Nine
of
out
your
of 10.
nine out
Nine
of
out of
ten? Yeah,
10.
I haven't read your grades yet,
Yeah,
but
I think he stole that game, Bruce. I think
yep.
it's fair to say that he stole that game, and the Oilers. since he's been in the Nets, they've stolen a few more.
Yeah.
He's just playing spectacular
Yeah.
hockey this year.
And
He has silenced. I don't. Has he silenced his critics, Bruce? Is that too much to say?
no, I've asked some trusted hockey minds that I'm in contact with if Smith has won them over yet, and they're still sort of going, well, we're just waiting for the big crash. And I'm going, well, season's like 2/3 over, and the guy's playing 2/3 of the games, and he's winning like 3/4 of the games that he starts, and playing well most of the time. Like he started 16 games, he's been over 911 of them, right? And save percentage, that supposedly was his weakness, was his save percentage. Well, he's got a 918 save percentage right now, which is, excellent. But on top of that, he has the, sort of almost a team captain's role when he's on the ice, honestly. And he
Yeah.
takes command out of there. He moves the puck, and he's clearly, like, all the players talk about him being like, who was interviewed tonight, talked about him, said how unusual it is for a goalie to be such a big voice in the room, but Mike Smith is that, and he contributes a lot to this team.
This is like the Oilers' rapture. He's the second coming of Dwayne Rolifson. We're all going
He
to be
does
taken up
remind
to
me,
heaven.
his 39-year-old fiery temperament reminds me a whole lot of Dwayne Rollison, I got to say.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. Well, we might have had the bad part with Smith when he got injured at the start of the year, because that was always
Yes,
real. That was always
yes.
like, to be charitable to his Smith's critics, including
Mhm.
myself.
Yep, that's part
That
of
was
the
always the
concern.
fear, was that
Yeah.
he's old and he's going to get hurt. So if you still don't like Mike Smith, you can always hope that that's what happens and you can be proven correct. But the rest of us Oiler fans will just be very happy with games like that, and I certainly was. Bruce, my good thing, my first good thing was Adam Larsson, and
Hmm.
I gave him an 8. He was the best Oilers player on the ice tonight. He bossed the game. He led the team with 7 hits. He was one of the few Oilers where they outshot the opposition 9-5 when he was on the ice. He kept a clean sheet on grade A scoring chances, Bruce. Not one major
Nice.
mistake on a grade A scoring chance against. He flattened in the first period. Who did he? Kerfoot and was
Alexander
Tavares.
Kerfoot.
And he got another guy pretty good too early on. I think it was. Let me just look here. I got it in my notes here. Wayne Simmons. He flattened Wayne
Right.
Simmons right early in the game, and then Kerfoot. Bruce, he is such an outstanding defensive hockey player. And he was in kind of stark contrast to another Oilers player who we're going to talk about later, another top four right shot D. But Matt, is he ever making his case? Is Adam Larsson ever making his case that he deserves another contract and the Edmonton Oilers need him? And he's starting to make a case, and this is going to be unpopular with many people. But if he keeps playing like this and plays like this in the playoffs and the Oilers win a couple series, the whole notion that the Oilers were taken to the cleaners on the Taylor Hall trade is going to have to be re-looked at. This is the last year of Larsson's contract on that trade. So, I think it's fair to say has to go into the analysis of that trade. And if he keeps it up, Bruce, well, it'll be interesting to see when we ask other Oilers fans what they think about it. But I think they might start to feel that the Oilers might have got the best of that deal. But it's still too
Well,
early to say.
Hall's contract that was traded was up last season, so of course he's
Correct.
now on his next contract. So you can choose to include his current season or not, but it's not exactly advancing the argument when he's got 2 goals. Um, and Larsson, I think, has 3. Uh, but also tonight, I mean,
Yeah,
in
yeah, I forgot that
addition to
part.
those penalties or plays that you mentioned tonight, he got a crucial assist on the game tying goal early in the third period when it looked like the Oilers were going to be hard pressed to generate anything. And it was, just old fashioned meat and potatoes hockey. But uh, he
That's the
and
man.
that's his game. I love Jesse Puljujärvi's game tonight, but I could not believe it when they said Puljujärvi hitting that guy behind the net was the hit of the game when Larsson stood up at the blue line, absolutely shivered the timbers of Kerfoot crossing the blue, trying to cross the blue line. He never made it. He made it as far as Larsson, and then he went down hard. Open ice hit. It's just a beauty. And
Oh,
yeah, I love Larsson's game tonight too. That's a good pick, David.
I only gave Puljujärvi a 5. I didn't love his game. I thought the play died on his stick a few too many times for my liking. And,
Okay.
he was the best player on that line.
Mm-hmm.
But so I gave him a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I undervalued him that game. Bruce, what is your second good thing?
One second good thing is a whole bunch of little good things from a whole bunch of sort of undersung Oilers. Uh, uh, and these are plays like Kyle Turris playing his first game in a while, actually working to get his body in front of the net and in front of the shot that uh, hit. I'm not sure if it hit him on the butt or it hit him on the high on the leg and bounced in the net. It was not a thing of beauty, and it was more a goal scored by determination and some good luck, which the Oilers were due. Let's face it. After that last game, this only hit one guy, and he was an actual Oiler on its way into the net, as opposed to the Toronto goals that were bouncing in off of Oilers into the Oilers net last game. But plays like that, uh, plays, well, yes, Puljujärvi, I just thought around the puck, winning battles along the board and engaging all the time. Like it's very difficult to get by that guy. Uh, Plays like Josh Archibald getting on his horse and getting behind the defense and making a slick move to deke Michael Hutchinson for the opening goal. Plays like Jujhar Khaira. I love this play. Smith had a giveaway in the first period, and it went into the corner, and he was scrambling to get back into his net to Wayne Simmons, big tough corner man for Toronto, and Khaira just closed in and crunched him, took him out. The puck just laid there. Khaira finished the check. He finished off Simmons, and he let his teammate Darnell Nurse come and clean up the puck. But it was just a sort of perfect reaction play. Oh, he's got the puck in the corner. Hit him. Take him out. And that's what Khaira did, which was one of quite a few takeouts that he had. And just on down the list, I mean, Kyle Yamamoto was dogged and tenacious in this game, and that was what kept him in the game. Their second, their third line each got him a goal, and they defended fairly well, not perfectly, but there was a lot of sort of individual standout defensive plays, and really overtime goal notwithstanding. It was not McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nurse that were leading the charge in terms of getting the job done in this game. It was some of the lesser lights that chipped in here and there and made key plays here and there and kept the Oilers in the game.
Indeed. My second good thing is Kailer Yamamoto, who you just mentioned briefly. The plays that I liked from him in particular, I think it was in the second period, Mitch Marner was rushing the puck up the ice, and he came back hard on the back check to knock the puck off his stick.
Yes, that was a great play.
He made on the Turris goal, his play really was the key play. He ignited that by charging in there like a pile driver and on the forecheck and just popping the puck loose, which Nuge then got and put back to Larsson onto the net and the goal. He won some more battles in the third period, and he passed it out to Nurse, who set up Draisaitl for a really dangerous one-timer shot that almost deflected in. I just thought Yamamoto was hustling like crazy out there. Yeah. And after a fairly inauspicious game against Toronto on Saturday, he redeemed himself, and I gave him an 8. I just thought his hustle kind of epitomized the effort that we saw from those non-first line players, and he was the best of them. I thought Cassian was good, though. I thought Khaira was good. I thought Ennis was good. I liked all of the depth players on the Edmonton Oilers. Bruce, your bad thing.
Well, I wasn't overly enamored with the games of the big guys today, but I'm going to single out my man Leon Draisaitl for a particularly atrocious sequence on the Oilers' one power play that they got in this game against Toronto, which is 4 times in 5 games now they've had 1 or 0. And so when you finally get a freaking power play after waiting all night, you're sort of going, okay, boys, now's the chance to pour it on. And pouring it on for Leon in this power play meant that he was directly involved in the puck clearing the attacking zone 5 times in a minute and 40 seconds. 5 times. first of all, the puck went around the boards and he was waiting for it and it went through his stick and it cleared the zone. So then he went back and he got it and he thought, okay, I'm going to rush it in myself. And he came in, tried to hit Puljujärvi at the blue line, but it was too far in front of him. So the Toronto guy just picked it off the board, sent it down again. Third time he lost the battle just inside the blue line. Uh, I'm forgetting one of them. And the fifth one, he finally got good possession of the puck in the zone. He fired a pass back to McDavid on the point, went right through McDavid's stick and out. And so for the fifth time in the power play, the puck cleared the zone. And all five times it was Leon, five different ways. But watch that sequence. I mean, if you like, you can count them for yourself. And he wasn't the only guy to blame on each of the plays, but he was kind of in the middle of it. It just was not working. And finally, after the fifth one, you could just see McDavid kind of slump his shoulders and go off to the bench. They sent out the second unit for the last 20 seconds because the first unit was not going anywhere. And at that point in the game, 2-2 early in the third, a power play goal would have been immense. And they just never gave themselves a chance.
This was one game where the Oilers really deserved to have more power plays. The Leafs are tripping them constantly and not getting called, as far as I could tell. Maybe if you're a Leafs fan, you would say, "Oh well, there was lots of calls against the Oilers that didn't get called," and you may be right, and I didn't notice those. But there's been other games when the Oilers didn't deserve power plays. They deserved 3 or 4 power plays this game, and they only got the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed when Leon's tired, Bruce, that
Mm-hmm.
he starts to turn over the puck, especially on the power play. And I don't know why he's tired.
Well,
It's a long and tiring season. So
Toronto
maybe
was
that's
all over those guys, and they were double
yeah.
teaming them a lot, and it was working. The second guy would come in, and the Oilers would be holding his own against the first guy, and then the second Leaf would close in. And I'd like to think that from these games against Toronto, these last five, that the Oilers will have learned that the forwards closing gaps on the back check and coming back hard on the back track and migrating to the puck and sort of outnumbering the puck carrier. That's a good idea. Maybe we should try that a little more ourselves.
Yeah, it was a really sad night for that kind of effort, especially from the top line, both on the back check and covering off the defensive slot, Bruce. They were just atrocious, honestly, leaving the opposition open. So, Bruce, my bad thing is Tyson Barrie's game tonight. He's had a pretty good season in a lot of ways, especially on the attack. I'm not enamored with his defense, and tonight would be either Exhibit A or Exhibit B. It's one of his worst games of the year defensively. He was if a defenseman's doing his job, really doing his job, he's going to have a clean sheet. He's not going to make any mistakes on grade A scoring chances against, and that was Adam Larsson tonight, and Ethan Bear and Chris Russell came close to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you might expect one mistake if a guy's that's kind of the average for a good defenseman even. Barrie made 7 major mistakes on grade A chances tonight, including on the 2 goals.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say, "Oh well, are you sure about that?" Like when you say that Barrie leaks a lot of chances against, are you convinced of that? Well, I'm going to go through the 7, and you can go and you have this on videotape. You check up on our work and you tell me what you think. So the first one's at 10:43 of the first period. And this is just a simple play. He's covering the guy behind the net, and he allows the pass out to the guy in front of the slot, who happens to be Auston Matthews. That's the first one. The second one, it comes at 12:01 of the first, and this is where Mitch Marner comes down his wing and dekes him into the slot and scores a goal. So that's the second one, 12:01 of the first. Then the third one is 8:52 of the first. Okay, he's covering Auston Matthews on that play down low, and Matthews just essentially works his way out from Barrie, and Barrie doesn't work through the interference, and Matthews gets off the shot and scores.
That was the goal, yeah.
That was the second goal. Moving on to the second period, the Mikheyev shot, the 2-on-1. That goes right through Barrie. The puck comes to a stick and he kind of bobbles it, and then the Leafs player Jason Spezza is around him to set up Mikheyev. We move on to the third period at, let me just see here, at 11:11. Go to the third period, 11:11, if you're doing this at home. Two chances. And again, they just come down. Tyson down his wing, and he again has a chance to make a play. He doesn't make it, and the puck goes in this massive scramble play where the Leafs could have easily scored. Nylander gets a shot, and then Galchenyuk gets a shot. And this is after the problem comes from them attacking his wing. And then with 5:10 left in the third period, we have the third one, and this is another pass out from the corner that he permits, and then they're just in tight. There's a kind of a through the legs backhand shot right in the crease on Mike Smith. So those are the 7. And, we're not trying to make these up or pick on anybody. We're just trying to actually be completely fair and accurate with these players and get it right. And we see this all too often with Tyson Barrie, is the terrible, terrible truth. A gifted offensive player, but even as a veteran defenseman here, Bruce, he really struggles on defense now and then. So.
Okay, sure. Well, here's some numbers to back that up. 21 minutes Barrie was on the ice at even strength. Shot attempts were 9 for, 27 against. Shots on goal, this is all natural stat trick. 4 for the Oilers, 18 against. Shots on net. So basically a period of hockey in which the Oilers got outshot 18-4. Scoring chances, their version of scoring chances, 3 for the Oilers, 19 against. And 0 goals for, 2 against, and well-deserved -2 based on those underlying numbers, which showed the Oilers getting pounded when he was on the ice tonight.
I was thinking, how could they have more scoring chances than shots? But they count missed shots as scoring chances. Something that we do not do, Bruce. And I would say Darnell Nurse's, except for posts, Darnell Nurse's shot in the final seconds of the game is kind of exhibit A.
Oh.
Hit the net, man.
Yeah.
Hit the net. You cannot score if you do not hit the net.
He did hit it seconds later, David.
He did, Bruce. He did.
Oh,
good point.
He hit the net. He didn't hit the goalie at all. He hit the actual net.
The mesh. Hit the mesh. Hit the mesh. Shoot for the mesh.
Exactly.
All right. Let's go to our numbers. What's your number, man?
Okay. Well, my number is related to your bad thing, and my number is 3. That's the number of minus games that Tyson Barrie has had since he's been hooked up with Darnell Nurse on the first pairing 26 games ago. And he had a brutal game in Calgary on game 13 that had everybody wanting his hide when the Oilers lost 6-4 to the Flames in a defensive nightmare of the game that he was kind of in the middle of. And then he had a minus game. Let's find it. One of the Toronto games, the first Toronto game, he was -2 in the 3-game sweep, and then he was even in the next 3. And otherwise, he's been even or plus in 23 of the 26 games with Nurse. And that includes in the 8 games before tonight, plus 12 in 8 games with 5 multi-point games for a total of 13 points. Like, he's packing it in on offense and he's getting points. The Oilers are scoring when he's on the ice, and by hook or by crook or by goalie, he's getting away with some of the, obviously, matador defense, some people call it. And he's been getting away with some of it. And Mike Smith's been saving his bacon sometimes. And Mikko Koskinen has been saving his bacon other times. And Darnell Nurse has been saving his bacon. And that's the key to the pairing. I think from Tyson Barrie's perspective, he's playing with other skill, which emphasizes his skill. And he's got big Darnell there to put out some fires. And for all that Nurse makes some of his own mistakes, man, he makes a lot of problems go away back there as well. And that's been a real productive pairing for the Oilers. Whether it'll last, it's kind of like that Mike Smith thing. Is it a mirage or is it real? But geez, 26 games, man, that's a lot of evidence. And
well, they're generally playing with some pretty good players too, like the Draisaitl.
100%.
And so there is that. So you need them to outscore. They better outscore.
Yes, absolutely.
On one level. Like, it's good they're outscoring. Hey, they better outscore, because if they're not, if you're stacking the deck like that, and that those guys aren't getting it done, well, good luck. I mean, tonight was one of those nights where there was some good luck, right? Were they able to win without that top unit coming through for them, except in overtime in such a big way and dramatic way.
Well,
But
when they
yeah,
put the
Tyson Barrie
pair
can really move
together,
up.
when they put the pair together, Barry played 10 games lower down the lineup with, he played some with Russell and he played some with, I think, two or three different guys, Jones maybe. And he was -8. He was -1 in 8 different games of the first 10. And then Bear got beamed with a puck in game 10, and Nurse needed a new partner, and they moved up Barry, and he's been there ever since. And since then, he's +16, and almost all of it's 5-on-5. There hasn't been
Yeah,
much empty net scoring. There's been, I
no,
think, no shorty since the very first few games of the season. Either way, it's been pretty much 5-on-5 or even strength scoring. And so, even though there are many who will poo-poo plus minus, to me, it's about outscoring. And I could do a bunch of work and then I elbow grease and figure out, goals for, goals against, goals for percentage, all this stuff during his time. But the sort of quick and dirty number is the plus minus, and he's been +16 since paired with Nurse, and that's even after tonight's well-deserved -2. So 3 bad games out of 26. I mean, when he's bad, he's bad. But he's been good a lot more than he's been bad, I guess is the point of my number.
My number, Bruce, is related to what I've seen in the games against Toronto the last 5 games, where the Oilers have struggled, I think, and often been outplayed against the Leafs. And I think if the Oilers hope to be able to advance in the playoffs this year, it's pretty apparent that they need another forward. I think that's the key. They've got to get one more solid attacking forward, preferably a center who can really cover off the defensive slot, which is really hard to get. That's hard to find. So a winger might do. A really good winger might do. And my number, I'm going to go back to this. My number is 22. That's Tyler Benson. He's got 22 points in 18 games in the AHL. I think it behooves the Oilers, and it's getting late. They should have made this move a week ago, 2 weeks ago, when Benson's scoring took off. Just call him up then. And especially now with this, I guess the 7-day thing just kicked in last week, so that's what really spurs it on now. But they should call, like immediately, tonight, they should recall Tyler Benson to see what he can do playing with Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid. Give him that opportunity. We're closing in very close to the trade deadline. It's the 12th of April, is it not?
Yes.
So you're not going to get a lot of games. Obviously, you might not get any, and this is, but you might get a couple where you can just see what he's got, see what he can bring, because he's chewing up the competition right now in the AHL. There's a chance that they have a top 6 forward right now there, and they don't know it because they haven't recalled him yet. I'm a little frustrated by it.
They're over-ripening him, David. Don't you know that this is the plan now? Bob Nicholson told us, and then Ken Holland came in and he absolutely seconded that motion, that they're going to over-ripen these young guys. And with the taxi squad, I mean, it's like Benson is buried about 3 layers deep behind left wingers that are on the taxi squad, these guys that we see coming in and out of the lineup on an ongoing basis, that are pros, as Ken Holland would say, and proven veteran players. And Ken Holland would probably say to you, David, what's the rush? We're winning games. We're using the guys we've got. Benson's getting good ice time down there in the farm on the top line, getting his confidence back, scoring goals and points. We're happy the way things are. Why change that?
What the rush is that his entry-level contract's up, and you, Ken Holland and the Edmonton Oilers, have not found another top left winger for your top 6. You've tried Tyler Ennis, you've tried Dominic Cahoon, and both of them have been found wanting somewhat. You tried Kyle Turris tonight, and all due respect, I don't think that's the answer either. So you've been trying these things, they're not working. If you want to beat Toronto, who are consistently outplaying you in the playoffs, you've got to turn over every stone. And here's one stone that you didn't overturn. So you're not doing your job as a GM if you're not overturning that stone, is my argument for Ken Holland. Turn over that stone, see what you got there. Call him up, play him a few games.
Wait a week.
Does that kill anyone? Does that hurt? Does that, like, what's the downside? What is the downside? I don't know, Bruce. So.
Well, finding space on the roster is going to be the downside relatively soon because of the taxi squad being full. But once they've activated the third goalie, then there's not going to be a lot of room there. But I guess there's ways to stick handle around that.
You could send Nygaard down. You could send Lens. You know what? You should send Evan Bouchard down.
Wow.
There's your. If you're looking for a spot, there's lots of players now. Everyone's healthy on defense again. He's not getting in the lineup. That's obvious to everybody. Why is he still up in Edmonton? So I'm just a little frustrated with, I'm not going to say they mishandled Bouchard. The way Barrie's playing, he's probably the answer this year. But this is getting to be mishandling when you don't get him down in Bakersfield, because you might need him. And if he's played 20 games, in, like, Bakersfield's probably going to play in the next month or whatever it is. They're playing so many games down there. That's a better Evan Bouchard than one who's just sitting in the press box in Edmonton.
So Benson up, Bouchard down, Benson sitting in the press box in Edmonton? No, you want Benson playing actual games and sitting out other players. Benson can't kill penalties, my understanding.
Well, so neither can Turris. You could put him in Turris' spot, Bruce.
You could. Yeah,
you could. It's simple as that. So what's the downside of that? Kyle Turris was, he got a goal, but he was also one of the culprits on a goal against with his weak back checking on the first goal. So it's, we've seen Kyle Turris. He's a known quantity. Yep. He's not the answer there. He's not going to help you win in the playoffs on your second line. Let's be honest. So try Tyler Benson. Are you with me on this or against me, Bruce?
I'm kind of in the Holland camp on this one. Like, I'm not sure that there's a rush, and I'm rooting for Tyler Benson. I really am. But there's so many layers there, and there's that darn quarantine, and there's
7 days.
Things are stacked, not really in his favor, and I'm just looking up Kyle Turris here again. And he's got 420 points in the NHL, and Tyler Benson has 1.
Bruce, that is the worst argument, though.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. You want skill? You want proven skill?
You're talking about a Kyle Turris that doesn't exist anymore. That player who scored those points, he ain't here. He left somewhere a couple of years ago, and he's not coming back. So.
Well, he's going to get a few games now, is my reckoning. Tonight was his first game that he played all year in the top 6. So, I mean, he's been a duck out of water because he's been a top 6 player in his career. And I'm not saying he's necessarily good enough to play on the Oilers' top 6. What I am saying is he hasn't had the chance to play on the Oilers' top 6. Maybe it's time they gave him one. And tonight he finally got one, and he scored a huge goal. He also was one of the culprits on a Toronto goal. You're absolutely right, but
yeah, I'm being too hard on Kyle Turris. I know that. Like, maybe he can help the team in some limited role this year. I don't think he is the answer in the top 6. They are going, if they want to compete for the Stanley Cup this year, they're going to have to make a trade. If they don't, they're probably going to have to make it anyway now, because it's really too late with Tyler Benson to call him up before the deadline. This should have happened, like I said, 2 weeks ago. But they're going to likely have to make a trade. Now, there was a faint hope with Dylan Holloway that he could come and be that guy, but he's got a broken hand. So
crummy break. Gee.
You don't have to make a move. You could bring up Benson, see if that works out, and think, okay, if Benson doesn't work out, we have plan B, Dylan Holloway. He could still step in, because stranger things have happened. Then a young guy coming out has stepped up and played really well for a team in the playoffs or down the stretch. Dylan Holloway could do that. So without making a trade, they could still proceed. But it looks like they're going to have to give up now something if they're going to go the route of going all in on these playoffs, which I think they should do. This is Connor McDavid in his prime. This is Mike Smith looking like he might catch fire. So they're going to have to make a trade now for a winger, and we'll see what they have to. Like, the price for Stahl was encouraging, though, like the 3rd and the 5th round pick. That was kind of not too outrageous.
For a half retained Eric Stahl, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make another I'm not sure if comparison's the right word, but similar situation that's going to help make your case, which was halfway through last year after they cycled through all of these veteran forwards, Thomas Yurcho and so on. Finally, after Christmas, they made their move and they sent out Marcus Granlund, who was the Kyle Turris of the 2019-20 Oilers halfway through the year, and they called up Kyler Yamamoto, and it was a big turning point for the team. Now, this team, I would argue, doesn't need the turning point in the sense that they're not down and out. They're actually rolling along pretty well. So my thinking is Ken Holland's probably not unhappy with what he's got. He's probably looking for a trade, but I'm not sure that. And again, the quarantine is such like there's no with the taxi squads. I know very few players around the league that have been called up from the minors and wound up playing on their teams. I'm sure there are some, but it would not be a normal year.
Yeah. So I guess it's just how you look at the Oilers right now. I'm looking at them as the inferior team to Toronto, and I think they need to make a move to get better so they can beat Toronto. Now, I don't know if it's Tyler Benson or if it's a different trade, but I do think they have to do something. So that's why I think they need a similar jolt. Otherwise, they're not going to beat Winnipeg or Toronto in the playoffs this year.
I guess as Rod Phillips liked to say, time will tell. And as for Evan Bouchard, I mean, he's has the grand misfortune of arriving in Edmonton at exactly the time that they have a surfeit of good right shot defensemen, which is like never happened in the history of the franchise before.
Yeah,
that they had four good right shot defensemen, but all of I mean, Barrie, obviously, we talked about his bad game tonight, but he's been delivering the goods. Larsson, we talked about his great game tonight, and he's been delivering the goods. And Ethan Bear's game is coming. I thought Bear was terrific in this game.
So did I, Bruce. Yeah, I agree.
And so I wouldn't change a thing on right defense, even if I loved Evan Bouchard, which I actually do. But who do you take out? And do you want to put him back on one? They gave him that one shot on left side, and it didn't end well. And Tippett seems to have a long memory for that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, if it's the wrong guy, I just think he could replace William Lagesson right now. Lagesson continues to be kind of underwhelming, and they don't seem sold on Caleb Jones either there. So
I was going to mention Lagesson in my good plays out of nowhere by different plays. He made a terrific cross ice pass to Devon Shore tonight.
Yeah, that was good.
He wasn't even sure he would. I thought he was going to put his head down and fire a wrist shot, and he saw the passing lane, and he put it right on his tape, and Shore whiffed it, and I don't think it was even a shot on net, but it sure was a fine play by Lagesson. It's nice to see because I've seen very little offensively from him, and it's left me very underwhelmed in the attacking zone, and that was a good sign.
They're asking a lot of Wild Bill, Bruce, to play with Larsson against tough competition. Like he should be a third pairing defenseman, right? Like kind of the Matt Green of the team, right? Like
train.
Yeah, like put him on the third pairing. But this is they're asking a lot, and he's hanging in there to give him credit. But
watch what Adam is doing, and you start doing it yourself. That's
yeah.
That's the impression I'm getting is that they're pairing up the tough Swedes. And
I just think to win in the playoffs, though, you can't have like Larsson, Lagesson, and Russell. It's just one too many of that style defenseman. I think you need one more really good puck mover in the lineup to win in the playoffs. So that, but there's no solutions here.
Pick me.
Who's that?
But Caleb Jones.
Yeah, put him back in.
He can't get a game. I thought he might play tonight because I did think Lagesson had a very tough night on Saturday.
Yeah,
but they stuck with Willie.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, well, tomorrow with a back-to-back, we might see a couple of guys, a couple of moves again, and
like
Russell I expect possibly so, and possibly Koskinen, certainly Koskinen, I should say, and they have. A couple of guys. They might be saving Alex Chiasson, their French-Canadian forward, to come back in Montreal, where he scored the game-winning goal in the game there last year. They've got
James. We haven't seen James Neal in a long time. Or Nygaard, Joachim Nygaard, who I would like to see. They're just so down in the Pecking order right
Yeah,
now, Patrick. I don't think we're going to see like Patrick Russell unless there's some injuries here, but
right.
Turris is likely to play again. So
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. No, they're going to run with tourists now for a bit, and I think they got to see what they got. And they made a 2-year investment in the guy at a pretty fair coin. So
my
we'll,
cat's dying here in the. He's not. He's just coughing up a hairball on my
oh
bed.
yeah.
So just pay no attention to that, and
I'm
neither will
looking
I.
every time I'm looking over here. I'm seeing Calgary Flames coughing up a hairball against the Jets. Down
Oh,
three to
really?
one in the
Oh,
second
sweet,
period. It was one
sweet.
nothing for Calgary at the end of the first. Now I'm looking over, and all of a sudden it's 3-1 for the Jets. So I
There
guess we
really
should be cheering
is.
for the Flames at this point, but I
No,
have a hard time bringing myself to do that.
no, we don't have to do that. Let's not do that. All right, Bruce. Well, thanks. I
Just the
want to thank
mention of James Neal made me think of the Flames. I don't know why.
Kurt for filling in on me
Mm,
Saturday
yeah,
night, and
he
thank you
does it
for talking.
splendid. Oh yeah, well, always a pleasure. Thanks everyone for listening.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.